Hi, 3D MJers. This is Andrea Valdez, and you are listening to the 3D Muscle Journey podcast. In this episode, I'm joined by Brad Loomis and Jeff Alberts as we talk about show day stresses and how to deal with them. So sure, getting an ultra lean physique is definitely the hardest part of natural bodybuilding. But for first-time competitors or those who lose their cool pretty easily, getting on stage can be quite a traumatic experience. Throughout this episode, we discuss our personal show day blunders, both logistically and emotionally, and, some of the stupid things we did in terms of our diet, in terms of proper planning, lack of research, and lack of perspective. We also go into the different mindsets associated with contest prep and how we separate the grind of the gym from the celebration of our work. So here it is, guys, show day stresses with Brad Loomis and Jeff Alberts. My first show, the one thing that freaked me out the most, or I just had zero idea, was writing my bio. Is that I had enough shit going on. I had no idea. I showed up to athlete thing, and right before they dismissed up, they're like, and you can turn your bio in at the front. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And I was by myself. And yeah, if you've never competed before, I saw write this little paragraph about my athletic history like an idiot. But I didn't know, because I'd never even been to a show. And for people who don't, or listening, who've never been to a show, there's usually while you're walking out by yourself, 10 seconds, right? 15, 20 seconds, where everyone, thanks their coach, thanks their team, whatever. And I'm like, she was a gymnast. I'm thinking I'm in a pageant. It was really embarrassing. So anyways, it had nothing to do with bodybuilding, but it stressed me out. I didn't know that was supposed to be on show day. And Jeff, you had bad trunks, right? That was your thing? Or one of the everything. What do you mean bad everything?
I had grandpa trunks. You put them on, you got the grandpa butt,
Had you ever been to a show?
I even had a bad haircut, a flat top. This is back in '93, so I had a bad flat top haircut. No tan. I had one coat of Pro Tan, and I was white as a ghost underneath that. So
and an aggressive mustache, right? That first show.
Yeah, that was probably the best thing on me was the mustache.
That caterpillar, though. Brad, what did you do your first show that was embarrassing?
I was practicing my posing where I was in plain sight of the entire audience.
Oh, on the side of the stage?
Yeah, I was on the side of the stage, and I didn't think anybody could see me, and finally somebody comes up and says, everybody can see you doing that, because I was practicing along with the judges as they were calling out the poses for the prior classes.
I remember in 2013, Jeff was there when I couldn't find how to get off stage. Do you remember this? You were there too, Brad.
Remember.
Yeah, it was
you're going like this with a curtain.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. Because it was
that must have been at the NGA show.
Yeah, it was the NGA Folsom, and I practiced my walk. It went because at that particular show, they allowed, which is again something that people don't know. Some shows you can pick your music. I mean, everyone gets to do it for bodybuilding, but at certain shows like the NGA Folsom, every division, every athlete gets to pick the song they want to walk out to. And they can, or don't have to, but they can choreograph some type of posing. And I picked this song, and I practiced my walk, and I just didn't think about how the fuck to get off the stage. So I walk in one side, do my posing, and I was supposed to walk off the other side, but I thought you went straight backwards. And I'm fumbling through the curtains and shit.
I remember that now.
Yeah, with my butt cheeks facing the audience. And I was freaking out.
You were really confident. You came out all confident. You just were really on point with your posing. The walk was all graceful. Everything. I was like, man, she actually presented herself really well. And then at the end, she's like, I can't get off the stage.
It's so
that was
fucking
great.
embarrassing.
I do remember that.
Yeah. I was pissed. It was Oh, and also, I'm not going to talk bad about that show. It's a well-run show. Every year they do it forever. But you also come out with that silhouette pose. It looks like you're in the sunshine. So for listeners, it's they put a light behind you and you're behind a sheer curtain and it shows your silhouette. Then the shit opens and then you walk forward. And so I tried to go back out the same way, but apparently you don't do that. And that's why I got stuck.
There's some other stories, especially the guys. You guys do the NGA California next year.
Hide your junk.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Don't do any kneeling down poses for the silhouette. And that's all I'll leave it at.
Yeah.
So,
keep your legs together and just.
Yeah, there's a big. I mean, it's common, right? Like as I was writing back in the day, for those who don't know, I wrote some prep guides, right? Like how to prepare someone for their first time getting on stage. And what sucks is in this sport, it's still super up to the promoter, right? So, I mean, we can talk later about things that are always like consistent across, but there are things that aren't. And that as a coach, I feel bad when like my clients like if they're super anal, like they prepare, we kind of plan around a night show and a morning show, and then sometimes I'll show up and there's only one show and they're like, but how do I eat my food now? You know, like stuff like that. Posing for figure. We've talked about this before, but some organizations you can put your hand on your hip and you can face the crowd. Some you have to have both arms down facing the side. What are other things that are like promoter dependent or show dependent? I'm trying to think. Well, don't y'all have different, there's like 2 or 3 different poses, right? For males?
For
male bodybuilding. The hamstring thing? The calf thing?
Oh, different federations, will call for, and different promoters might call for different poses. Like OCB, IFP, they do the hamstring curl.
Yeah.
Whereas like WMBF don't call that pose. So it's like you got to be prepared going in ahead of time, knowing what they are and aren't going to call for poses. And I wouldn't just go buy off the website. I would actually contact the promoter / heads of the Fed, email or whatever, and say, hey, what poses are actually going to be called? So you get some kind of heads up. But my first show, I've been to a show like before doing my first show, but it was like once or twice, and it was like a year or 2 prior. So it's like I didn't know what to expect going in. I thought I knew what I was doing until you actually get there, and it's intimidating because it's your first time. Yeah. And a lot can happen on show day. A lot.
Yeah, I would totally recommend if it's someone's, I wouldn't even just say their first season, but if you're ever concerned about anything like that, I always advise my athletes to contact the promoter. Not just the organization, because the same organization can have, like, I mean, the NGA Folsom, like we talked about, no other NGA show that I know of has silhouette followed by pick your own music for all divisions.
Yeah, a lot of things that happens on show day is promoter dependent. Mm-hmm. And then you got to factor in too, it's a one-time deal, one time a year. So the promoters, I'm sure, has so much on their plate trying to organize a bunch of people to have this one day go right. It's kind of like your prep. You're preparing for this one day, and so a lot of things can go a little haywire on show day. So you kind of have to expect the unexpected. It's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's and figure and bikini too, which is not so much a bodybuilding issue. Because bodybuilding, right, you have obviously your morning show, the assigned alignment of athlete, blah, blah, but at the night show, every show for bodybuilding, males get out there, they have their minute or 2 or whatever. Because it depends too, right? Because pros get more time on stage than amateurs, but you get to do your own choreographed posing routine. Whereas for figure and bikini, like, it's called a T-walk, but you don't always get a full T. And some will let you do, like, 3 poses at each stop. And some, they'll tell you, go out to the middle of the stage, do 1 pose, and leave.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Like, the more subjective the judging criteria for the particular division, it's like the more surprises you can have, I feel like. Do y'all agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
It could go with bodybuilding too, because I remember doing some NPC shows back in the day, and they're like, "Oh, you got to do a 60-second like posing routine in the morning." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Really?
To no music.
What?
So you're like, "Okay, what do I do? I go out there. What poses do I hit?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll just do what I'm gonna do at the night show and just go through my routine with no music."
That's
but
interesting.
They would do that.
Yeah, they did that on my first show too.
So there's certain things that promoters or whatever can throw at you and you don't even know. a lot of times for promoters, they'll have like a morning meeting and they'll go through kind of a walkthrough of kind of what they're going to be doing that day.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you have it in your mind, like if you're just kind of going by off a website, the feds or whatever, okay, this is how the show format is, but then you get there and you're like, oh wait, the promoter's throwing this at me. So it's not a bad idea to contact a promoter ahead of time and see, hey, do you have a run through of how the day is going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've even some of them call audibles. Like if they decide, well, you know what, this is a really, really well-attended show, your routine is no longer 90 seconds. We're going to cut it off at 60 seconds.
Huh.
I've seen him do that.
Yeah, I've seen
him
too.
I've seen him in the NPC say, you know what, there's 14 in your division, only the top 5 are doing their evening routine.
They did that for my first show was NPC, and there was 14 in my class, and I think they called out the top 5, and then we all left, and only the 5 got to do their T-Lock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's unpredictable. Like even at a couple of the local shows this year, I guess the NGA California is one. You really kind of never know how that finals format's going to go.
Yeah.
Like some shows they'll call, like in the finals, they'll have, they'll come out, call your name in each class, and then you do your posing routine, come back out, maybe have a pose down, then call the top 5, get your trophies, and that's it, and you're kind of done. But now they're kind of like letting everybody do the routines first, like across the whole show. So
everyone like, stays for awards, right?
How do you time? Okay, should I eat this meal here? Should I eat that meal? Because I have my posing routine, then I have maybe a pose down. If I did get into the overall, then I have to make sure I'm planning for that. So there's a lot of unpredictable things that can go on during show day.
Yeah.
And the thing is you got to keep your cool. That poise on show day goes.
Most important part. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're rattled, if like you're stressing on every little thing, that can, believe it or not, affect the way you're looking. If your stress levels get way out of hand.
Yeah.
And a lot of people too, when they get overly stressed, they'll forget like, okay, I forget to drink water and things like that. So all of a sudden they start looking flat because they're not drinking water.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that can go on, but the most thing is like you want to keep your cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember my first show, the most memorable part of my first show was that I almost just abandoned my show day plan because we all got lined up there and I was looking at all of the competitors and I'm like, there is no way I'm going to even be able to compete in this show because these guys are huge, but we're all dressed, everybody's in their hoodies and their sweatshirts and everything. And so I was the smallest guy, and I was like, screw this, I'm just going to eat. I'm going to just abandon my plan.
I would get a burger and fries. Screw this shit.
Yeah, I was just about ready to do that. And then just a little voice turned on in my head and I said, you know what? You've done 6 months worth of work here. Don't end it like that. If you started out and you were anal about this whole prep and you really stuck to your guns 100%, let's finish it off, regardless of what you're seeing. And then, of course, everybody was shocked with my conditioning. I got this huge photo shoot outside. I won 2 classes. I won one of the overalls. And it was just it made it all worthwhile. I just had a little pep talk, calmed myself down, got in my quiet spot, and yeah, it ended up working out. You just got to keep your head.
Yeah, kind of similar situation in 2006. I did the NPC San Francisco, and at that time I was like 156 pounds. I mean, in t-shirts and clothes, I looked like I was ready for the concentration camp or something. So so it was the NPC show. So they do all the like the sign-ins and all that in the morning. So like Brad, I wanted to do the sign-ins, and I'm seeing all these dudes in sweatshirts, just like they're just engorged in their sweatshirts. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm gonna get mopped up here. Just like your confidence kind of gets rattled and you get a little bit stressed. And then once started people peeling off their clothes to do the weigh-ins, I'm like, oh, these guys look like they're off season. They're like,
they're kind of fat.
And then I was like, I took my clothes, I was like, damn, that dude's peeled. So long story short, I did pretty well just because, the conditioning was there. But yeah, I was like getting inside my own head by looking at other people and not even seeing what they even looked like without their clothes, just through their clothes.
Right.
So now it's like when I see people backstage, I mean, if I see like round chubby cheeks, then I'm like, okay, this guy's probably not conditioned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, too, what y'all have both said, though, is, I mean, the best way to prepare, right, and to be less stressed on show day would be, like, get ready beforehand, right? So, like,
Well, yes, rule number one.
Rule number one, actually be
Yes,
lean.
be prepared.
Be prepared, but there's a whole lot of ways you can do that, though, to mitigate the stress, right? Like, obviously, with your physique, we all hope that you're ready early enough, right? Or you could pick a later show. But another thing, too, is before I even go on a trip, but especially before show day, I have the list of, like, I need all this shit packed, ready, waiting for me. And that includes, all the bells and whistles that I'm wearing. For girls, obviously, it's like jewelry, hair, makeup, blah, 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 shoes, all that stuff. Yep. But all the food, too. Like, an arsenal of food with you.
It's like, that's when you want to be bro. You want to have your Tupperware all ready to go. All your meals lined up. You want that shit all organized and lined up. You want, like I said, a checklist. Mm-hmm. You want to have your duffel bag full. Okay, you got your extra set of clothes. You got your towels. You got your color, whatever you need. Your music. Everything needs to be prepared ahead of time. Don't get up that morning and be like, oh shit, I got to put everything together. Because right there, you're going to be stressed out. I usually do it like the day prior or even 2 days prior. Have it all lined up, ready to go.
Yeah.
And have yourself backup plans, too. Because, like, I remember it was either my second or third show, I ended up dumping my potatoes all over the ground. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? You know,
yeah.
And I remember that freaked me out.
And then the ability to be pliable, too, right? Like, I know my first show, if my potatoes would have fallen, I would have lost my shit and been like, who's here that I know? Go get me potatoes.
Exactly.
Yeah. But as we know, and like Jeff said, like, there's times when the time that you're on stage changes. You think you're going to go on twice, and sometimes some shows have you on, like, 4 different times if you're doing well. Mm-hmm. So it's not just enough to, like, be prepared for the exact perfect day because the exact person happened. So having extras. Also, I think I have, Steve, if you could link up, I have an article on my website that's like it's for figure specifically, but it'd work for most organizations, like a year out checklist. Of like all the things that you should be doing leading up to it. And then obviously pack all your shit, look good, but posing, dude. So, like you said, you were practicing your posing on the side of the stage, which is common, right, for a quick brush up. But some people, like, you can tell they're getting their shit together an hour before.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I mean,
it's crazy.
That's just it. I've been posting about posing probably the last 2 days now. It's like you put all this work. To me, it's like respect your grind. You just grinded for months, weeks, years, and now you're gonna like, oh yeah, let's pose. Okay, I got an hour before I go out. Let me see if I can hit these poses. Yeah. Now you should be doing that. Should be an equal part of your prep. That should be started at least 12 weeks out if you're a bodybuilder. At least 12 weeks out. But to go like the last, I mean, how much stress do you think that person's having? That anxiety of like, oh shit, I'm ready to go out on stage. I don't even know if I know how to pose right yet. I mean, just that stress alone. Even if you pose, let's say that person actually gets in a good pose, they're still going to be unsure, and they're going to look like they're unsure up there. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And how many times does that happen? They'll say quarter turn to the right, and they go this way.
All the time.
They go left. Yeah.
Exactly. And they'll say relax, and they hit like a side chest, or they don't even really know what a relaxed pose is. Yeah,
you
don't
want to
be that guy. Really bad.
That guy or girl you're just basically a deer in headlights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with girls, I find that they need to practice walking. Like, that's always crazy to me too. I'm like, you can't get from point A to point B without looking like a horse. They can't walk in their heels,
Heels.
There's just
exactly.
There's just
always practice in your heels. Always practice in your heels.
And your show day heels. In my
opinion, than somebody that twists an ankle. Exactly.
Yeah, because some girls will like practice in their 6-inch pumps that they use on the weekend to go out, but then you get on stage and they're usually platforms, which is really difficult. I know you guys get to be barefoot, but still, the girls, it's like if you're nervous, which tends to lead to minor quaking, like little shakes, and you're in platform heels, it's pretty obvious. It's obvious on guys too, and they haven't posed, not just whether or not they know it, because right, there's a lot of guys that like they look okay in their poses, but you can tell that the endurance isn't there. And so speaking of shaking, I mean, shit, it gets crazy on you.
I think yeah. I mean, the endurance. I know some shows like in my early days, it was like it was shaking, but it was more like you said, like nerves, and doing dumb shit like not making sure I'm drinking enough water and those types of things. So shaking, starting to cramp. So yeah, it's just you have to be aware of those things. Like during the day, it's like making sure that because the priority is making sure you're looking good, right? So you need to make sure you're eating and drinking. So you're not getting on stage and looking like you're just physically and mentally not there. And I could recall at the Worlds in 2014, I mean, I was pretty poised because I even had Eric. He's coming up to me every 5 minutes saying, "Hey, you okay? You okay? You need anything? You need anything?" I'm like, dude, back up. You're stressing me out by you being stressed. Like, just let me be. I'm chilled. I'm poised. Let me just chill. But even still, I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I was still getting my food in. I got on stage flat, but I didn't really realize it because there wasn't really good mirrors back there or anything. So it was hard to kind of keep an eye on yourself like that. And about 3 poses in, I was just shaking. And I'm like, I'm dead in the water here because I know I'm not carbed up and watered up the way I should be. And yeah, by the end of that prejudging, I was done. I was so wiped out. It's like my posing was off. And yeah, when I got the photos and stuff, I looked flat. But after prejudging, I ate. And then it's amazing what food and water would do, because at the night show, I was so poised and calm and relaxed on stage because I felt good. I think that's pretty key too, is like if you take care of your food and water, I mean, you're going to feel better and you'll be in a more relaxed state. It's kind of like when you're going through those hard digs at prep. Yeah. Shit's like hard, your stress level's higher because you're more hungry, you're more tired. So it's the same principle. Just in a more acute day. Yeah, stress management, I think, is huge. It's the biggest part of it for me. I know I'm a stress bloater, as y'all know. So with me, carbing up is not good because it just adds to the bloat. It's not like it fills me out. It's like, okay, now you spilled over. So the best thing I can do for me is do nothing different. And that's one of those that only comes with experience, right? That's just over preps of we tried to carb me, okay? We tried decreasing fiber. And then the best thing was just do everything exactly the same. I was just going to say, take a day off before. Yeah. Don't change a bunch of variables because they're unpredictable. If you do the same thing you always do on a regular basis and you know it's consistent, then why in the world would you change up a bunch of shit for show day when it's so unpredictable? Yeah, and that's not to say, listeners, I mean, we do peak our athletes, right? Especially in the leaner divisions. That's not what we're saying there. It's just, I think with me more than anything, it's the mental, behavioral side of it that calms me. You know, I mean, I'm here at home. I like doing the same shit every day. Much less when I have all these other travel stresses and show day and posing and logistics and da-da-da and like... that's another can of worms, the travel. If you have to travel for your shows. Yeah. Talk about that. What do you do before you leave? Like, do you try to go extra days early so that you have time to chill? Or do you like flying there like right before it to keep your life as normal as possible up until show day? What do you prefer? Me? Yeah. And then we'll go through. Yeah, I would say the best peak I've had to date, and it was I basically say it's because of the poise I had was the Pro International. That whole trip was just so peaceful. I was just like, I got there on a Thursday, so it was 2 days ahead of time. So I was able to get myself situated on Thursday. That way Friday it was a chill day. I could just chill. If I need to go to the gym, I could go to the gym. All the weigh-ins and the polys, all that's taken care of on Thursday. So Friday was a chill day. And basically, I was just like going to the gym with my brother, hanging out the night before, watching NFL Network. I was just relaxed and chilled. I had all my food, and he's OCD like me. So when we went to the grocery store, got all our stuff stocked up on that Thursday, I mean, I had put all my food, laid it out on the table. It was all organized and ordered. And he even came behind me and put it even straighter. That's how OCD he is. But everything has got to be like, it was in line. And basically, it was like, that's how it was for Friday. And then when I got up Saturday morning, it was more of the same. I had everything lined up, ready to go. Each meal was planned out. He was taking care of my color. Like, everything was like, and he's a calm dude like me. We're both kind of on the quiet side. So it was just like smooth sailing. And even during the pump up, it was the same thing. He was just keeping me nice and calm. The other pros around me were kind of going like crazy pumping up, and I was just kind of going nice and calm and poised. And there was even another pro, I'm not going to mention the name, but the guy was losing his marbles, and I'm like, this guy's competed like dozens of times, and he's like, it's almost like he was so stressed. It was just like, you could tell that the actual time he was having wasn't enjoyable. It's like, here you are, you're training all this time for this day, you're supposed to celebrate this day, all your hard work, but you're losing your shit and you're not even having fun. So I've learned to really kind of just really stay in the moment and relax and tell myself, just chill and have fun. Take it all in. It's just a show. Yeah. And that's the way I kind of cope. And that peak was like smooth sailing. And it was a one-show format too, so that made it a little bit easier because you didn't have to plan out for the night show. It's just like, okay. And that show is ran, like that promoter is on top of it. So everything is like in line. So everything is just lined up perfectly. It was easy to plan for.
Okay. And Brad, have you had to travel majorly?
Yeah, just like Jeff, we when we did the Pro International together, we got there a couple days early. As soon as we got settled, we hit the grocery store and got all of our food bought up and like Jeff said, all laid
Brad
out
was
in the
trying
kitchen.
to eat my food. Don't let him fool you. He's trying to steal my food.
Well, that's because yours looked better.
I know, it's because they made it all straight as Paul.
It was perfect. Yeah,
but yeah, and the same thing as Jeff. I always looked the best when like I was calm. I had my family around. I think the best that I've ever looked was when I did the Natural Olympia, and it was, again, I didn't really have to travel, but I had to drive to Nevada, and the guys were here. I remember Jeff was sleeping right here and Berta was sleeping over there, and it was, my family was around, and it was just, I always do best when everybody's there, just kind of making the day kind of just going smooth and just enjoy each other, just enjoy your whole journey that you've gone through.
Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it, is just setting yourself up to relax and celebrate the hard work and not get too caught up in, okay, how are you going to stack up against the other guys or gals? Where are you going to place? And am I going to peak well? And like all these insecurities and these questions, those things could like just basically stress you the hell out that whole week. So it's like, why would you let all that anxiety ruin your fun? So it's like, it's just a show. That's how I kind of look at it now. It's just a show. It's just a platform where I can showcase my hard work. And I know I'm not doing anything dumb or crazy the final week or the day of the show. Like, I know that the peak plan has been executed. I'm going to wake up that day. It's going to be just fine. Right. So it's not like any other day, like the week. Yeah, the work's done. So it's like, why would I stress over it?
Yeah. You did it all beforehand. There's nothing you can, unless you do something, like you said, Jeff, there's nothing you can do unless you're being really stupid about it. The work's done. You look the way you look. So just get out there and do, like you said, even if it's not fun. I know it's stressful, but that's, I guess, the way that I always think of it is like, well, there's nothing I can do. I did what I could do. And so I'm just going to chill out here. And I like walking on stage, so whatever.
And while we do want people to be prepared, we always want to have them ready and have their food ready. Sometimes, and then I was kind of this way and guilty of it myself, is people almost get too detail oriented. They'll be like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. I'm going to be on stage at 6 o'clock. I need to eat right now, And I remember seeing especially in the NPC, they would really freak out. They're yelling at people that are trying to get their paperwork done because I need to go, eat and get this in, at this time. And it's like, you need to be prepared. You need to have your food ready, but you need to have timelines, so to speak. You've got a 20 or 30-minute window here. Get your water in that window. Get your food in that window. You don't have to be splitting hairs on the seconds. You know what I mean? Your body doesn't know that it's exactly 5 hours, 5 minutes, and 30 seconds from stage,
Yeah, that's true. I have a really... For me, go ahead. I have an embarrassing story.
As far as food, well, remember that. But I was going to say about food, it's like a lot of times now it's like I'll get up extra early, or I'll have athletes get up early so they can start getting their food in, because timelines are so unpredictable. Shows may say they start at 10, promoter might not have his shit together, show starts at 11. Guess what? Now the timing's thrown off. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's, X number of people in this division, X number of people in this division, and it's just the timing's just skewy. So get up early, whether it's 3 or 4 in the morning, depending on what time the show's supposed to start, get your food in. Worst case scenario, let's say you get all your food and you still have 2 hours before you get to the stage. At least that food is in you. And you're not like, oh shit, I'm about to go out in 5 minutes. I'm missing my 100 carbs. So to me, it's like better. It's always be ready to be prepared early. And same thing with show day. I'd rather be prepared early than be scrambling. And as far as like pumping up and getting ready to go out on stage, be ahead of the expediters, because you can't. Some shows have good expediters, some shows don't. And the ones that are good, great. You got someone who could really, like at the Pro Internationals, expediters are money. Like those guys are awesome. When they say you're going out in 10 minutes, guess what? You're out there in 9 minutes. They're on it. But some expediters like, oh yeah, you're going out in 20 minutes. 2 minutes later, hey, start pumping up. You guys will be out there in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So you don't have, like, if you're supposed to take in sodium before your pump or whatever, there's no time to do any of that. So I always say just make sure you're ahead of the expediters. So pay attention to the classes in front of you. If that class that's supposed to be ahead of you is going out on stage, you better be pumping up and getting ready and getting everything done right then and there. And don't wait for an expediter.
Right.
Yeah. And get out of your clothes and get your color on, and don't be trying to play games, and keep yourself covered up for as long as possible, because then you're
guys are dumb.
I can't go around with my cell phone playing Pokemon Go. Well,
guys are dumb like that. I'm keeping this hidden.
Ready.
Keeping this hidden so that
exactly. Yeah,
they're funny.
And don't worry about putting your clothes back on. I mean, just you look great. Just walk around naked.
Oh man. I think an important distinction that we should make, though, is that all these things that we're talking about with food, sodium, carbing up, timing, pumping up, I think we should just identify the continuum of like how much more that matters for bodybuilding than it does for like bikini. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things that we're talking about, like every peak week show that or video or whatever, the podcast that Eric did that was really big on Jeff Nippard's, right? It was Jeff Nippard's podcast that they did the peak week thing. Yeah, and they mention it there too, but I think just for context, I know a lot of the majority of people getting on a bodybuilding stage now are like bikini and male physique, where it's like we say get early so that when you wake up, and Jeff said get those extra 100 carbs and blah blah. A lot of times that's not such a big issue for the less lean classes, and I just want to make sure that we said that. There's going to be
so much context. It's got a whole other podcast to talk about peaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just because I was just referencing like a bodybuilder.
Yeah. And even like in my case, if say there were nutritional tweaks that maybe could optimize me 3 to 5%, what personally I've learned is what's more important for me is if I sleep and just chill the fuck out. So instead of stressing about whether or not I hit the appropriate thing that's going to make me look like just a tiny, tiny bit better, I know that if I wake up early to eat extra, I'm going to look more than a tiny percent worse. So it's just like picking and choosing what
I mean,
works
obviously,
best.
people who are more lean, they're going to see more acute changes.
Yes,
Like,
and they're going to see bigger
whereas
responses.
someone who's not
Yeah.
as lean, they're not going to see as much change in a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Unless you do something drastic.
And it's
eat
usually
100
not
carbs
gonna be
as
a
a bikini
positive
competitor. Yeah, you're going to look like, oh, crap, I'm bloated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And you're right too, Andrea. Why make some sort of a little strategy to get 3% better when that person's going to stress out and be 5% worse?
Yeah.
What little improvement that we just made actually cost us a 2% deficit. So yeah, a lot of times I won't even do a peak week plan sometimes for bikini competitors. I'll just say, okay, here's your macros for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I want this much in the morning, that much in the evening. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
How you normally eat breakfast,
steady,
that's the breakfast you're going to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so not
I'll
to
just
get
tell
super
them-
far, into peak week. It was just, I think, like Jeff said, the leaner you are, the more your body responds to smaller things. And actually, the more positive you can get from big things, right? Like the big giant backloads. But a bikini athlete's never going to do that. A lot of figure girls won't respond well to that unless they're absurdly lean. So in most cases nowadays, again, just because of the way that, like, in every 100 athletes on a bodybuilding stage, like 60% of them aren't actually bodybuilding division lean, that for those types of people, I would like to say that de-stressing and chilling out is going to, and getting your ducks just in a decent row is probably more useful for them than, like, again, a male bodybuilder. It's like, get that food. And like, Jeff, you get that fucking lean, you're on that pro stage. That stuff matters a little bit more for you. And for those high level extra lean athletes. And it's just, maybe the level of precision matters more the leaner you are is like a good generalization. Would y'all agree?
I think to optimize yourself
Yeah.
on show day.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like you said, it matters probably a little bit more for me to make sure that I'm well fed, and got my sodium in and all that, because I'm super lean. You can see those visual differences like that. Like you taking a little bit of sodium in a pump and all of a sudden you look freaking crazier half hour later. Whereas obviously a bikini chick, her butt got a little bit rounder. I don't know. I can't tell,
Yeah,
so
but at the same time, so did her stomach. So then, like, what's better,
so, yeah, Exactly.
Yeah. And I think the good thing, too, is, like, we can totally test run these things. Like, it's not like, I mean, it's obvious, right? Like, any of you guys, including, like, Brandon, too, it's like, on a refeed day, his chest legit blows up. Like, in a good way, And, like, me, after a refeed day, I'm like, man, I look kind of watery.
Yeah.
So it's not like you don't know about how you're going to respond.
You've been prepping for weeks and weeks, so you get if you're consistent with everything, then you can see if. The key is if. So personally, I like to try to keep things as consistent as possible, so I can see, okay, do I look better the day of a refeed, day after a refeed, 2 days, 3 days? You start seeing things week after week after week, and the leaner you get, obviously you see the changes more. So it's almost like you get dry runs up to peak week,
right?
4 or 5 weeks in advance. Like I was talking to my brother over the weekend because he just competed, and he's so freaking peeled that he could see all these little changes. He's like, yeah, I know this is how I look on this day at a refeed. He's telling me all about it. He's like, so I already know how to peak for the most part.
And like me, I noticed in my last prep is like if I refeed, the next day I look watery as shit, and then the second day is when I looked better. And that's, again, stuff that every athlete can document that on themselves. Like the week before, like the 2 weeks before show, I like to do that with the athletes too, is like do the big giant refeed, have them send those morning pictures day after day. And that's just another thing too, that if we do that together, coach and athlete, send me pictures right after your refeed the next morning. Okay, we picked day 2 as the best one. So then it's not like, that's just another mental reassurance that when they get on stage, they know this is my best day. And so that's another thing that's like not as stressful as like we do what we can. We've done it before. And so I think just as few surprises as possible.
Yeah. Like setting them up on peak week. Like if you set them up, you explain how the peak week's going to go, and you explain what's going to happen with each day. Okay, here we're going to deplete your carbs, whatever. You're going to look flat. You're going to feel a little bit more probably crappy. And they expect it. There's no stress. And then when you fill back out, okay, this is what's going to happen. You might look a little spilly here, but then you'll clean it up here. And then, so there's like a level of predictability. It gives them a reassurance. So when they get up on show day, they're like, okay, this is how I'm supposed to be looking. Not like freaking out like, oh, I'm not full enough. I'm flat or whatever. So, getting them.
Yeah, and just be on the same page. You know, I'm real picky with my little meta notes that I like to put on, you know, the athlete spreadsheet, because I'll be like, well, I thought you looked best the second day after the refeed, and they'll be like, no, it was 18 hours after the refeed. Well, maybe we need to make sure that do another dry run that we're both on the same page, and most of all agree. Right. This is the plan. Let's go ahead. We agree on this plan. We've seen this happen. And then once you figure that out, again, keep calm, you know, on that show day, because, I mean, that's happened to me before. It's like, why is that guy taking niacin? Maybe I should be taking niacin.
Oh, yeah. We didn't talk about that yet.
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at what other people are doing, and then, like, second-guessing what you're doing.
Exactly. Second-guessing your plan. You know, you be on the same page with your coach, but drink your water. If you see somebody over there that's just, you know, had this much water the whole time, don't think to yourself, should I not be drinking any water, you know? But yeah, don't second guess your plan. Don't look around at what other people are doing. Know that you've been through this for the long haul, and you know what you need to be doing. Don't let, you know, other folks happen. Do you remember that, Jeff? For people doing that back in the day, taking niacin?
Yeah, that's like NPC stuff, yeah.
Oh, the good old days.
The good old days.
I did some crazy stuff. That's a whole other podcast.
You did? Yeah. Tell me about it.
Oh, because I was NPC. So, I mean, because back then, when in the early 90s, I didn't really know about natural bodybuilding shows. I did all NPC, or I did, like, I think it was AAU, but it was, like, not tested. So, guys were cutting water, loading potassium, cutting sodium. So it was just like doing these crazy things. And I remember the night before, what show was that? I think it was like NPC San Jose, one of those. And I literally was laying in the sun that day so I could, you know, get water out of me so I could get more shredded. Oh my God. And cutting water. So I literally would each meal I'd have like 2 ounces of water, and then I'd stop drinking water at about 5 or 6 at night. So it was literally like maybe 10 to 12 ounces the entire day. My nose was sunk, like so sunk. And I remember laying there, I was ready to go to sleep. My ex-wife comes in and goes, she came in with like water like this. She's like, you need to drink this. And I'm like, no, it's going to mess up my conditioning. No. Because she thought I was going to die. That's how severely dehydrated I was. If I could show you the picture someday, it was pretty bad. So I took like one sip. I'm like, there. And she was all pissed off. But yeah, I didn't want to wreck my conditioning.
That's so crazy.
Shit like that. Dumb shit like that, yeah. And then the show day, like the next day, it was the same thing. It was like limiting water, like maybe 2 or 3 ounces with each meal, and not drinking any water until you're done off stage. Like, okay, pre-judging's over, I'll drink some water. Yeah. And then, of course, the next day, you eat your pizza, you eat your burger or whatever, you fill back up, you're like, oh, man, I look better today. And you're like, why is that? You couldn't figure it out. Yeah.
Well, Jeff, wasn't it you that told me somebody like just passed out from dehydration on stage next to you?
Yeah, guy was NPC Contra Costa in 2000. Guy next to me, yeah, he basically just passed out. He just collapsed, head right into the ground.
Damn.
Yeah, just like passed out. Yeah, he was severely dehydrated. He was taking diuretics. Come to find out, yeah. And this is like a local NPC show. This was crazy. Yeah, I'm like, man, the guy is risking his life for and not just that, it was a novice division.
Sorry.
It's funny, but it's not funny. You know what I mean? It's sad.
It's scary, and it's it's so strange to me too. Like on one hand, like most sports, right? It's like game day, fucking go time. You got to get your head right. Let's be ready. Da da da. But with this, it's like, you legit already did it all. Like, there's no need to go crazy, to have that, like you said, hide in the hoodie and take your diuretics. And, like, that's, honestly, it's like, it should be the easiest day. You don't have to train. You're just hanging out. Like, you eat some extra food. Like, you get to drink. Like, it's the opposite of any other sport I've ever been a part of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like football, you better be like, yeah, let's get in there, man. Because if you don't, you get your head knocked.
Got to get a little crazy. Yeah.
This is a bodybuilding show. It's a show. So it's like enjoy and celebrate all your hard work. That's how I look at it now. Like every time I do a show now, I'm like, man, I just put in. Like last time was 50 weeks. Why would I go to a show after 50 weeks and be like, yeah, let's kill it, and be all stressed out the whole day? I've done that before. That's how my whole early days was like every show I did was about winning. And I remember going to Texas in 2002. I hardly talked to anybody backstage because I was there to win. I'm like, I just traveled from California to Texas. I spent my $1,200 to get here. I want that pro card, and these guys are all enemies. And that's how I approached it.
That's so funny.
I think I only talked to a couple dudes there, and that was about it. But I was like, so focused on winning, and I didn't enjoy anything about that show. Like nothing. I didn't enjoy it. Like when I look back at it, I'm like, all I was bitter because I didn't win.
Yeah, and so it's not even anything you could have done. Like you didn't decide that. It's not again like a football game where I was in this, I ran, I tackled that guy. It's like you could look exactly the same, do the exact same routine, have the exact same posing. And get, like Brad, like you said, you won one show, went to a pro show and got last, like immediately. Or like, no, it was two amateurs, right? Like 2 weeks apart that you won one and then got last in one with this looking just as good, if not better. And so it's almost like the more you invest in it, it's almost like worse. Like emotionally invested in like winning, especially in this sport. Yeah.
I was all in. And when I didn't win, it was because it was even more bitter because it was a second. I lost by a point. And then you have another, like a judge came up to me after and said you should have won. So it's like you just reinforced all that frustration and bitterness.
Negativity,
Yeah, it was like it was reinforced. And it took me a long time to get out of that. So, and then like I said, in 2014, I went to that Pro International. I was like, I'm not going to let the panel of judges, as much as I respect, their opinions and whatever, I'm not going to let them define success for me. Because that to me, I should do that. I should be the one doing that. If I have power for 40, 50 weeks of my prep, all that power is in my hands. Why am I going to let someone else have it on that day? I'm going to keep it. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go in there and show the audience my hard work, show the judges my hard work. Wherever I fall because there's nothing else I can do. I did everything. If you do everything you're supposed to do, you get to that stage, you're in your all-time best shape. Wherever you place, that's where you deserve to be, whether it's first or last. And it's easier to accept that when you know you did everything right. If you cut corners, then I've had preps like that where I've cut corners and you don't win, you're like, shit, there's regret because like, what if? So for me, it's like that's how I know show day. For me, it's just like it's not stressful anymore because of the way my mindset is about it. It's like I said, it's more like celebrating the work versus trying to win. Of course, when I'm on stage, I'm trying to win, but it's more of a healthy competitiveness. Whereas like it's in Texas, it was just like do or die.
Yeah, because it's not like you said. The mindset is. It's competitive, healthy, because if you did your best, you could win or lose. Whereas, again, if we're comparing it to other sports, if you don't do your best and still win, it still kind of feels shitty. Or vice versa. If you do your best and lose. If you do your absolute best and lose, it's shitty. But
let's say even in other sports, if you do your absolute best and you still lose, there's nothing more you can do. This is the other team's better. Yeah, it sucks, but at least you leave knowing you left it all on the table. It's not like let's say if you're the Oakland Raiders, much as I like them, they suck. But if they're on the field and they have like 15 penalties in the game, they beat themselves. So that feels shittier than let's say Joe Montana throws a 50-yard pass and wins the game on the last drive. It's like, that just means that team's better than you in the end.
Yeah. But I think what I'm getting at is, like, there's decision-making involved, right? Like, if I'm in a play in football, like, fuck, I shouldn't have done that maybe. Whereas, like, bodybuilding, like, you literally just do your routine. Like, you can't, if you've practiced enough, you can't jack that up. If you know your poses, you can't jack it up. If you have your food with you, your tan is, like, there's so many controllables, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that once those are taken care of, it literally is completely out of your hands.
Exactly.
Like you said, as long as you do your job. And so if you sit there and overthink and overstress, and you're on the side of the stage posing, and you're trying to, you're freaking out because of the niacin, like all that stuff, it's like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not your shit. Yeah. No, what I was going to tell you. Go ahead, Brett. Sorry. I'm going to keep it.
Well, I was just going to say that, like you said, if you take care of your stuff, it's you almost can't mess it up. You know what I mean? And it's kind of hard to visualize that. So just as kind of a way to explain that is as long as you take care of your stuff and you stay calm, just let it be in God's hands. Just let it happen. Because I remember when Jeff and Berto and I did the 2011 Pro International, I was so focused on how competitive I was going to be, and focused on my placing. And I look back and I really look at that show with a lot of regret, because I was really let down. Berto was fourth, Jeff was second. I was not even in the first call out, so I was the guy in the back, that was not even, I think I placed like 11th out of 12 or something like that. But at least I executed my plan. We did what I was supposed to do. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 months later, I did the Natural Olympia, here in Reno. And same thing, did what I was supposed to do. Looked maybe a little bit better, but still very, very comparable. But man, again, second to last. I think I got 9th out of 10, but what a better experience, because I was not so in my head focused on placing. I actually gained, I think, 3 pounds, between the Pro International and the Natural Olympia. But man, it was such a better experience, you know what I mean? So I was prepared. I did everything I was supposed to do. The changes were pretty, subtle as far as how I looked, but it was just a much better experience. So the moral of the story is just enjoy yourself, and make sure that you get your stuff done, and you might as well have a good time, and not look at, that stress from placing and regret it.
Yeah, and go ahead, Jeff.
I think it's okay to be competitive and want to win, but it's got to be
absolutely.
You have to keep a healthy balance to it. Because even that show pretty clear, and I think for me going to that show, the expectation, like, that was my first time competing against pros, so I wasn't expecting to win. I wasn't expecting to place second. I was just kind of going in there, okay, let me see how I stack up against more formidable competition. So I didn't put pressure on myself to try and win. It was just like, let's see how I compare to other people.
Yeah.
And I did everything, like Brad, I did everything I could to be my best. I was the best I've ever been at that point. And Valentina Zugo won. And I mean, the dude is just incredible. So no matter what, if I try to do something extra special on show day, it wasn't going to make a difference, because he was just a superior bodybuilder than me.
And I think what you said is important too, like becoming or wanting that competitive thing, going in there, you're like, I'm a badass, I got this, that's for like in the gym throughout the whole entire prep. It's not like you can't be competitive and you can't love the grind and you can't bring your all, but it's just in this sport, it's like all of that shit is useful before show day.
It's fuel. Yeah.
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 It's like, I like if you're sitting there starving, but you have squats, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to do it because I want to win my shows, blah, blah, blah. But once you're at the show, it's like, okay, you did the squats. But as of today, if I try to go in there balls to the wall, it's not going to make a difference. So it's like, competitive is good, grit is good, grind is good. We talked all of that shit will have been talked about in the podcast before this. That was the Sacrifice to Win episode. But it's like, again, on stage, all that anger, stress can lead to like usually worse shit than if you're just
I've seen dudes throwing their trophies.
Oh my god.
That's
absurd.
I saw a dude throw his trophy because the stage wasn't big as he thought it was going to be, because he couldn't do his routine the certain way he wanted to do it because it didn't have enough space. So after this thing was over with, he was throwing his trophy, throwing his bag, having a tantrum because of that. I'm like,
and that's obviously why he didn't win. Yeah, because of the stage size. Like, that's so illogical and stupid.
I mean, even me, I hate to say it, I'm embarrassed to say it, but like in 1995, I was trying to win the Mr. Fremont. That was like my Mr. Olympia back in the day.
Show, yeah.
I came in second, and I was so upset. I was verbally saying it out loud. That's how immature I was. I was like 24 years old, still young.
Yeah.
But saying, oh man, I got screwed, judges screwed, like saying that out loud, and I look back and go, because I was so invested in trying to win that show that it blinded the reality was that the guy that won was better. When I look back at the pictures, I'm like, oh yeah, the guy's got like 20 more pounds of muscle on me. How was I so blinded by that?
Yeah.
But that's how invested I was into the thought of winning. That's how crazy it was.
Yeah.
So, and same thing, it's like you don't enjoy the show fully because of that. What, you're crying after the show because you didn't win. You're just like, you're not enjoying it. It's like all negativity and bitterness.
Yeah. I've never gone on stage and been like in regret of how I handled prep. I really enjoy prep. I feel like compared to most, I do it well, I guess. I'm always proud of the work I put in, but every single show that I've ever gone to, I show up, I look around, and I'm like, okay, I'm shooting for second. Because I'm not so crazy to think that, like, I remember, not the NGA, the one after that was, what's Terry's show? Sorry. NAMBF, Central Valley?
Central Valley.
Okay, so,
Central Valley.
like, for example, I walk in there and Brendan Barber was in the show. So she's already an NGA pro. She has the waist like this, the shoulders like the perfect figure physique. Even if she was 5 pounds over, I would be like, yep, she wins. Like, it's just the symmetry is there, you know? And if I went in there upset that I didn't win, like, that would just, I don't know. Like you said, you just lost reality. Like, I walk in and I'm like, oh, Brandon's here. Hey, what's up? So I'm shooting for second. Hope that works out. You know, and I think that's relieving, I guess, is to not be so crazy that I've lost track of reality and the fact that I shouldn't win that show. And I got best poser and second place. But I knew, I just, I
think, like, people get really, like, when you're prepping, you think, it's almost like you kind of think you're the only one doing this or something, like you're working harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm working harder, and I'm working hard, so I deserve to win. And so you go weeks and weeks and weeks of this thought process. I'm going to win, I'm training hard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Everybody else is too. There might even be someone training harder than you. Or doing things better than you.
Right.
So it's like, it's like,
and at the
you
same
can't
time,
go in this show with that mentality, because when you do have those heartbreaks like I had in Texas, or if someone shows up like a Brendan Barber against someone like you had to go against, it can be disheartening. You're just like, you're deflated. Yeah.
It could be, yeah. And I think I'm one of the more competitive females that I know. It's just, it is reality. Like if like you said, Jeff, you get so invested and you feel like it's owed to you, that's a dangerous place to feel like you're ever owed anything. Not just in bodybuilding, but like in life. It's like, to expect, right, is almost a way to get
Brad
let
was
down
pretty
in any way.
competitive back in the day, too.
Brad.
Is that how you felt sometimes, Brad? Like when you were training for shows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, I remember in 2009, I look back at this, kind of roll my eyes, but remember you and Eric were in the overall, and I remember going up to Eric. I think it was either before the overall or before the heavyweight class. I'm like, dude, you just get out there and you just pose as hard as you freaking can. I want you emptying the tank out there. You've worked hard for this. Go out there and earn it.
Yeah.
And he ended up winning the heavyweight class, but I just look back at that and I'm like, phew. In fact, if anything, that made him worse because then he sweat so bad that all of his color ran.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I'm a super competitive person, and that's why I kind of like. That's why I'm kind of shying away from bodybuilding a little bit, because you're responsible for how you end up on show day and how good you are, and how good you look, but at the same time you don't have control of your placing, and it's a big beauty pageant. It's a sport different from what I envisioned myself doing, when I wanted to be an athlete.
Yeah,
I think. And you think the videos that you made back in, I think it was like after that season, the 2011 season, when you made those videos of, what was it called? Mature enough to compete, was it?
That? Yeah. Are you mature enough to compete? Yeah.
That video kind of helped me to get good perspective on the competitiveness of like putting a tight lid on it, like making sure that it's a healthy competitiveness. Like I can. Like right now when I'm training, I'm like, I want to train hard because I do want to better my placing. So I use it as fuel.
Right.
But it's not, like at the end of the day, at the actual show, that mentality is not the same. Like I kind of turn that switch off and like, okay, I'm here, let's celebrate now. And I've done everything I can to be my best. So now it's not even in my hands anymore where I get placed. So why am I going to invest my energy into the judges? Or invest my energy into the other athletes? Just go out there and shine. That's just it.
Mentality.
And I get a first, great. I get a last. Again, at the end of the day, I did everything. I trained to win. That's winning to me, is putting your best out there. And I think that's it's hard for, I think, some people to accept that because they want that external acceptance.
I think that
it's a different kind of a game face. You put your game face on, but it's a different kind of a game face. It's not your typical, competitive sport game face.
Well, it's just a tool, like, if you want to say, like, training and like cardio, your mindset, when it is time for the gym, I turn my shit on, right? I need that mentality. When I'm at home, like, Jeff, you eat your meal and, like, what are you going to do? Keep thinking about food? Like, that's not going to fucking help you. You know what I mean? Like, it's the useful mindset when it matters. And then sometimes you need the go there mindset. And then sometimes you need to chill the fuck out. It doesn't matter. Like, calm down. And it's throughout a week. Like, in deloads, I mind fuck myself and I'm like, that's the only time I don't want to go to the gym is during a deload. Because I'm like, I know I have to do it. And scientifically, this is useful. But I'm like, if I can't go balls to the wall, like, this is stupid, it sucks, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I feel almost weaker in deloads I need to chill out. I can't be the balls to the wall. And on show day, it's like you said, what are you going to do, pump up harder and beat everybody? Like, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. It's a different game phase.
So it's just a tool, right? Just like food, just like cardio, just like your training. Your mindset needs to vary based on the immediate goal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think if you can make, like you said, so it goes back to that checklist of like the things you do on a normal day-to-day basis for prep. I mean, it's going to be different on game day, but plan ahead so you have it in your mind and on paper that when you get to show day, it's routine. Like you set up that routine for that day, so there's not too much stress coming at you from all these different variables, and be prepared for the unexpected. Yeah. And I would say even like plan ahead, pick the shows, research the shows you want to do. Like if you pick a show out, research it, look at the past couple of years, see if you could talk to competitors that have done that show before. How is it ran? Is it organized? Is it on time? All these things, and you get a better perspective on kind of what might be thrown at you. So you're better prepared.
Most shows are on YouTube at this point. Like literally any bodybuilding show, you could be like, okay, what was it in 2015? I guess now you could look at the 2016 if you're going to compete in 2017. You can look at the stage. It's usually at the same place. You can look at the way that they request posing, stuff like that.
So like on my radar for next year, I mean, it's kind of an open-ended prep, but I have in mind that potentially I want to do like the WNBF Pro USA, the Muscle Mayhem, because they've been running that show every year since 1999. I did the very first one. I know how Bob and Tina are. They're like on point, everything's smooth. So I know going to that show, I know it's going to be well ran. It's going to be a good experience. Pro International, I'll probably do that one again. Same thing. Their money, their promoters are like on the ball. And then of course, if I can do well at those shows, then I qualify for Worlds. So that's kind of like, I know from past experience and also from the recognition that these shows have, that they're well ran.
Right. So prepare ahead of time. What you can and what you can't. Just chill out. That's basically it.
Boys. Yeah, lots of boys. Be prepared, boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. That's the thing. It only comes like, remember the numbers I put out? I've been competing since 1993. So, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. So it's like, I think it's like,
look in your
points,
Instagram.
Not even 1% of the time. Like I've done 30 shows out of 30 years worth of training. It's not even 1% of the time, those 30 shows. It's like less than 1%.
Yeah, it's like 0.2 or 0.02%. Yeah.
Would I stress that? Like all those days where I'm not competing, that's the grind to get to those days, that less than 1%. Why am I going to be stressed out on that? That's the time to celebrate.
Yeah. And the best part about this, I think, which again helped me enjoy the whole fucking sport a lot more, was that unlike other sports, fortunately, it's not like you're gonna like injure yourself out of it. Like you can do this for decades. Like it's always there. And so there's always, literally, unless you're like 70, which technically you could still do a show. But for most people, if you're 70, maybe okay. But anyone who's like, even I would say 50 and under, there's always other shows. There's always other shows, other seasons. It's.
I think. Yeah, there's one other thing that happened that was pretty awesome from having a more relaxed approach backstage and enjoying and chilling and being competitive, but at the same time enjoying the other people around me. Formed 3D Muscle Journey that way.
Yeah.
So if I would have had that same mindset that I had back, like let's say in 2002, I wouldn't have talked to Eric or Berto or Brad backstage. I would have been like, I'm winning. These guys, screw these guys. So it's just like, you don't know. That's how you meet people, you meet friends. There's other things you get out of it besides the first place plastic trophy. You get to meet people, you get to meet potential friends. So there's a lot there's to be taken from shows besides just getting shredded or looking beautiful in heels and you
mean they're people. Not made of gold, the trophies? Just kidding.
Clay, maybe?
I'm just kidding. I don't even know what they're made of. I think they're plastic, right?
I don't know.
Anyways, I think I'm glad you brought that up too, right? Not just looking shredded and not just looking pretty in like I find the most unhappy competitors are the ones that use it for a lifestyle change, to attract the opposite sex, to feel good in a bathing suit, like shit like that. I find are the mentally not as happy about the sport, more angry when they lose, hold a lot of their personal value in winning, therefore it becomes a bigger deal. Like treating it as a sport versus a life change, I feel like is one of the best things that an athlete in this sport can do. And longevity, right? Longevity.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it for so long. You have to have the right perspective, otherwise. Yeah. I definitely didn't do this for a lifestyle change. It's just something. It's a sport to me.
Right. And that makes it. Those are, like I said, the people that tend to see it for the looks good in the bikinis or whatever, or the Speedos, whatever your gender, is a lot of times too, they can't deal with off season, so they can't stop competing. And that's a part of being able to do this sport, is there's an in-season, off-season. That took me like 5 years to get. And that wasn't even because I couldn't, because of like the looks in the bikinis. That was, I won't be better next season unless I weigh more than 10 pounds above stage weight kind of thing. I was having to frame it differently. But yeah, it's more mental in the long view. Okay. So anyways, anything else about...
I'm dying I'm dying to hear your story. You're going to tell us a story.
Yeah.
I'm dying to hear it.
Sorry. No. So, Bert, when I was in 2013, about to do the NJ Folsom, Bert gave me a list of suggested foods to have with me, when I go to show day, and one of them was Detour bars. These certain Detour bars. Again, any fucking protein bar I'm sure would have been fine, but I wanted the ones that he'd said. So I couldn't sleep. I go to Walmart at midnight, the night before my first show of the season. Literally midnight, because I couldn't sleep because I was all frazzled. And because I couldn't find the Detour bars earlier at Walgreens, and Brandon and my mom were there, and they're like, it's okay, get any bar. I got different bars. But I was laying there in bed and I couldn't sleep. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just go to Walmart because it's 24 hours and get these Detour bars. Well, I go, and they had the boxes there, but they didn't have the barcode on them. For whatever reason, there was no little price tab. So I go to the front, and I go to the lady at 1 a.m. now, and she's like, oh, we need to get a price check on this. The sticker wasn't there. And so I'm like, all right. So I'm waiting there, all tanned, by the way, in my big-ass black hoodie, looking like a crazy person, right, with blackface on. I just look like a disaster. And the manager comes back and is like, oh, I don't know why these don't have, they don't have a marker. We can't sell them to you. And I was like, what? Okay, well, I'm telling this girl, I have a bodybuilding show tomorrow. My coach said I had to have these bars. It's 1:30 in the morning. Please. She's like, I'm sorry. There's no barcode. Something happened in stocking. We can't get them. So the manager walks away. This lady who's checking me out could see I was freaking the fuck out. She just puts them in my bag and I leave. I legit stole protein bars from Walmart 1:30 the day before. I didn't even fucking eat them. I didn't even eat them.
You didn't steal them. She put them in your bag.
I know, but I was tearing up.
Gift.
I was like, I need these bars. These are the ones. And it was so I slept for 4 hours the night before that show.
See, so that right there, it's you would have been better off just going to bed and getting some sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Those Detour bars wouldn't have.
Yeah.
They basically just detoured you is what they did.
Yeah.
They turned me into a criminal. I was a criminal.
Oh.
I could have found you something else to eat with the same macros as that Detour bar, and you would have been.
I know. And I told Berto about this a year later. He's like, just laughs. I'm like, it's not funny. It was serious at the time. It's on YouTube, I think, too. I'm sitting in my car at 1 a.m. I can't sleep. I guess I'll go get what I'm supposed to get.
See, it's worth you did it because now it's podcast material.
Right? But it's so fucking crazy. And that's because at the time, right, I had a YouTube channel. People followed me like I knew anything about anything. And we all grow. It's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that was embarrassing. I stole things. Okay. Now the SAC PD is going to come get me in Austin.
Right?
No.
Call them up right now.
All right. Well, thank you guys for talking to me for so long.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for having us. That was
Talk
fun.
to y'all next week. See ya.